Hello, today's Bible study comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 19 through 23, and it reads as follows. Though I am free and belong to no one, I have made myself a slave to everyone, to win as many as possible. To the Jews I became like a Jew to win the Jews. To those under the law I became like one under the law, though I myself am not under the law, so as to win those under the law. To those not having the law, I became like one not having the law, though I am not free from God's law, but am under Christ's law, so as to win those not having the law. To the weak I became weak, to win the weak. I have become all things to all people, so that by all possible means I might save some. I do all this for the sake of the gospel, that I may share in its blessings. All right, Paul is still writing and speaking, and as you see, he is saying, I am free from all men, that I might win the more. What he was saying is, I'm free to do what I want to do, but my job, the thing I desire to do, is to bring people to Jesus. And that's more pleasurable, more favorable, more of what I want to do. But the most important thing than to use my freedom to do for self or for me. And he starts telling you how he did it. He said, to the Jews, I became as a Jew that I might win the Jews. Paul was always on the move of winning people to Christ. And, Paul would put himself into their situation. Even when he addressed you, Paul spoke as you were the same, on the same level. And Paul was doing things that the Jewish people did as far as their ceremonies. And they weren't for Paul, but Paul said, I will do what I need to get into you, to get closer to you, and to minister to you. And remember, don't forget, Timothy was circumcised. And he didn't have to be, but Paul said this could help out. I have become all things to all men, that I may by all means save some. Now, this is saying Paul went in to appeal to different groups. Okay? But Paul's doctrine, Paul's message was always the same. What Paul was saying is, if I go to a place where they may not understand what I'm saying, I will meet them where they are. And Paul, for yawning, was meeting them where they were. And he could go evangelize anywhere because of this simple thing about Paul. Paul was adaptable to where he was going, to who he was speaking to, which made the word easier to be received. But he was adapting his message. And Paul didn't have a problem with this because he knew that there were going to be different people doing different things. Even the fact that Paul spoke so many languages speaks to the fact that Paul was in all these different areas, speaking to different people with different languages, and it was easier for them to talk to Paul in their own language, not to struggle, not to try to understand it slowly or to catch a word here and there. Paul was blessed, even with his language, to speak numerous languages just to get the information out, which even that alone brought comfort. So Paul was going out there saying, you know what? The best way for me to win souls to Christ is to meet you where you're at, as far as I can meet you where you're at. And Paul understood people's needs, and he could look at him. He could identify with them. Even when he told him, hey, I am not getting paid. I work by my hands. I'm a tanner. I know I can be paid, but that wouldn't look good to you. You don't feel this way about me. So you know what? I won't ask you for anything. I'll work. Paul was accommodating, and Paul was willing to give him of himself. And don't forget, Paul's main goal was to win people to Christ. And to do that, Paul had to meet them where they are, understand their needs, and relate to them. Even when we share the message, if you don't relate to a person, you're not sharing the message enough or well enough for them to comprehend. And we should all be trying to do that. Get the message out there, reach people that they can understand what we are saying. And when he says, I become all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. Paul, like I said, he didn't change what he was preaching. The message had to be spoken differently to appeal to groups, but the message never changed. Now, his mannerisms, how he spoke, his behavior, that might have changed, but the word, the message, it never changed. And then he says, now I do this for the gospel's sake. Paul said, hey, there are some things that you ain't going to like about the gospel. And I might bother you with that. But the ways that you are, the things that you do, I will not offend you that way. But the gospel was true to what it was. And Paul made sure that he shared that with them. Amen.